I came up with a quote the other day, and I posted it to my channel feed, but it went something like this. I've never lost a woman because I cared too little, but I have lost many because I cared too much. And if I were to tell a woman that quote, she would probably disagree with it and say, actually, no, there have been plenty of guys I wanted them to care more, but they didn't, and so I left them. But here's the thing. That guy that got to that point, she wanted him to care more. He did the things right that hooked her in. He developed the attraction, and she wanted more from him. And as a man, it's certainly better to be in that position than it is to be in the position where we are caring too much and pushing the woman away. But why is that, though? Why does that happen? It happens because when we care too much, especially too soon, it can often mean we're disrespecting ourselves. It can mean that there's a hole in our own lives where we're not happy enough on our own, so we're looking to somebody else to fulfill our needs. Probably needs that we should be fulfilling on our own. And don't get it twisted, women do this too. It's just that they get away with it more. But as a man, if we're trying to get our needs met by a woman, not going to go well. I talked about this in another video, the video where I said, guys, women don't care how much you care about them. And it's absolutely true. Because as a man, there's certain masculine traits that are going to be attractive. When we're on our mission, we're on our purpose, we have decisiveness, the woman feels comfortable in our presence, they feel comfortable following our lead. Those are the kinds of things women are attracted to. But when we start to care too much too soon, it begins to diminish us in a woman's eyes. They begin to look at us as being weaker. And what are the symptoms of this? Because this is what would happen to me all the time. I would find a woman that I would spark an initial attraction. Maybe they thought I was attractive or something. Get their number, but then I would begin to obsess about them. And all of the interactions were forced. The interactions were no longer fun. I would overthink everything I said. And I'd probably go out with them once, twice, maybe even sleep with them. But I got so uncomfortable. And I would be looking to that person to complete me. I would be looking to that person to give me positive feelings about myself. It's love addiction is really what it is. And 100% of the time, whenever I did that, it would push a woman away. Now, there's two ways to look at that, right? Some people would tell me, well, Jared, when you just find the right person, that person's going to care about you no matter what. And I don't agree with that because it neglects one major thing. It neglects the fact that maybe there's things that we are doing wrong and there's ways that we need to improve. And that's what we should be doing first. And when we keep on getting the same results, we are the common denominator in all of our relationships. So chances are it's something that we need to be doing differently. And honestly, it's actually a relief to figure this out too. Because if it's something that we can be doing differently, we are in control of that. We have power over that situation. If it's just the outside, then we're powerless. That's a victim type mentality. I don't want to be powerless. Part of this channel, Radical Self-Respect, it's about empowering others to do better, to take a look at our side of the street and to see where we can improve. And when I started to look at my own side of the street and say, well, if whenever I care, the same result begins to happen, I push a woman away with my neediness, my approval-seeking behavior, my lack of leadership, my lack of direction, well, the answer is I need to do a better job. The answer is I need to get my side of the street taken care of and do better. And what does that look like? The biggest part and the hardest part was just developing emotional independence, which is what? Part of it is practicing radical self-respect, but it's just having a life that we enjoy without a woman. We have goals. We have things we're looking forward to, things that get us excited, that are not women. When I was in the height of my love addiction, women were the only thing that excited me. Previously to that, it was drugs that excited me. But then every time I would get drugs, then I would always turn to women after that. But I needed to get something to get excited about outside of them, because they do not want to be that for us. They don't want to be our everything. They don't want to be on the pedestal. And that's the other thing I would always do. I would elevate their opinions of me. And if their opinion of me was good, I was good with myself. But if their opinion of me was not good, I was not good with myself. And this is another thing that would happen. If we're going to be a good leader, a leader in a relationship, a CEO of our dating lives, we're going to have to enforce boundaries. And before, when I cared too much, I was not able to enforce boundaries. I was afraid because I thought if I enforced boundaries, I would risk them leaving. Because guess what? There is a little truth in that sometimes. Because there are women that are emotionally immature and they cannot hear someone's boundaries and respect them. Instead, they'll gaslight. Instead, they'll flip it back on us, blame us. That's how you know you're dealing with an emotionally immature woman. But a healthy woman will be able to listen to our boundaries and to respect them. But what I didn't realize back then was either way, I was doing myself a favor. Because when I enforce a boundary, a good result will happen either way. Either I will discover they're emotionally immature and I can kick them to the curb, or she'll respect my boundary and it will develop some attraction in the process. Because women will often initially be upset sometimes when we have a boundary, but a healthy woman will look back on it and say, wow, I'm glad that guy stood up to me. It's like, do you know how many times a woman has told me, Jared, I'm glad you didn't put up with my shit. I'm glad you told me no. I'm glad you took charge of the situation. Many times women have said that. Never has a woman said, oh, wow, I'm glad you had no boundaries. I'm glad you let me walk all over you. I'm glad you were a doormat. I'm glad you were a people pleaser. No, 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 and no. And so the quote I said in the beginning, I've never lost a woman from caring too little, but I've lost many from caring too much. It's a little crude, but it does serve its purpose, because when we're masculine, we're supposed to be having other things first, our mission and purpose. And if we're caring too much about a woman, often it means there's something missing in our own lives. Like I've said before in previous videos, women are professional detectives in the dating market. They're looking for clues, Is this guy high value? Is this guy low value? Is this guy needy? Is this guy approval seeking? Does this guy have a life? Will I be this guy's whole world? There's all these things they're looking for. And they probably can't even tell you they're looking for them. It's just innate. It's part of their biological makeup. But they're always searching for these clues. And if we're given clues that we're weak and low value, bad leaders, they're going to pick up on it. Just as they're going to pick up on the reverse too. If we're good leaders, we can have boundaries. We have a life outside of them. We are emotionally independent. That's what they're looking for. And like I said, the hardest part is just developing the life without them, having other things to look forward to. And I always tell people, because I find the people that struggle with this the most, they're ones that they're not necessarily thrilled with what they're doing for a living. So maybe they need to develop more hobbies or even change careers. But I have things that I have goals that if I were to achieve them, I'd be super excited. And that's what every man really needs. We got to have something that gets us going, something that when we're talking about it, we get excited, that like we see sparkles in our eyes. That's what we need. And there's simple concepts here. It's like part of it's practicing radical self-respect, but we got to always be vigilant. And remember, if we're catching these unhealthy attachments and severe feelings, we'll call them, it's not good. We got to watch out, Now, a healthy relationship, feelings can develop over time. Yes, but we always still need to remain emotionally independent. And we gotta be careful that we don't fall off. Because there's a lot of guys also out there that they're good in the beginning. They're good for longer than I was. They're good for a month, 6 months, even a year. But eventually, they fall off their course. Eventually, they stop chasing excellence. Eventually, they make concession after concession after concession, and they let the woman take the lead. And the woman becomes in charge. And we can't let that happen. Can't let that happen. I'm going to make another video soon about the kind of guys that we have to watch out for in the world. There's guys that they're weak. And they're in relationships, but they certainly don't have the frame in those relationships. And those are guys we got to watch out for. I'm going to go into that more in depth in another video, but I think it's important. Because if we're going to be a high-value man, if we're going to practice radical self-respect, we're going to want to have good people in our circle. We're going to want to have people that inspire us. It's like Nipsey Hussle said, if we're not inspired by the people we surround ourselves with, we don't have a circle, we have a cage. Very true. And so remember, men, if we've done something wrong, if what we're doing is constantly not working, a change is in order. And the radical self-respect way is to look to our side of the street first. And again, this applies for relationships, but the advice, the suggestions, it applies to no matter what people are doing. It doesn't matter. Even if we're black pill and we don't give a hoot about women, we still need to do these things for our own lives. So that's my video for today. Please let me know what you think. You agree, disagree? Do you have anything to add? I would love to hear it. So with that, thank you very much for watching and have a good rest of your day.